स्वभक्तानुकूलं जगद्वृक्षमूलं नीरस्तात्रशूलं भजे भजे समस्तामहेशं विदेवाभयेशं जगद्बिम्बलेशं हृदाकाशदेशम्. Let's begin the study of Srimad Bhagavatam and take the medicine for today. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Jnanatirmirannasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Nam Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamniti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasudeva Gauravakta. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. So we're studying this very technical section of Srimad Bhagavatam. How Krishna's hand is in the material elements, and how when once Vishnu and time enter the material elements, how that affects the living beings and how the unconscious becomes conscious. And then we studied about the three Vishnus, how the Virata Rupa form of the Lord, it's not exactly like spiritual, it's not in the eternal spiritual sky, but it's actually a form, Krishna's deity form. And this Virata Rupa form is actually a material manifestation of this world, which actually reminds us of how Krishna is in control, etc. And then we were studying about Garbhodakshayi Vishnu. See, there are these different levels of control, right? And then Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is the one who enters into these elements, and he entered. And then through that entrance of Garbhodakshayi Vishnu is where the Virat Rupa takes place. Like we were studying previously, how all the, the color, like right now is like a stormy season. All these colors of the sky represents the colors of the clothes of the Lord. All these birds represents the creative ability of the Lord. And all these trees and plants represents the hair on his body, and so on and so forth. And here it says Garbhodaka ocean. Virat Rupa, also known as Hiranmaya, because of his golden hue, lay on the Garbhodaka ocean for 1,000 celestial years, and all the living entities and planetary systems lay within him. Also, there was this part where see, this shows how it's very intrinsic, it's very intricate. The creation of the Lord is very intricate. At the same time, it's very well organized, and it has its logic about how the Lord enters the elements and how he creates this form of gigantic Virat Rupa, and how through that he accomplishes certain missions. Then here, like us, Maitreya is, Vidura is also having so many doubts. How does that happen? And how does this happen? And then this part here, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, being like source of Virat Rupa, foundation of Virat Rupa, he's also, Garbhodakshay Vishnu is also the first expansion of Mahavishnu. Because Krishna is the original, okay? He's the Swayam Bhagavan. Krishna is Swayam Bhagavan. And then the Vishnu incarnations manages the maintenance, creation, and, the universal functions. And Mahavishnu is the first expansion. As the Lord himself expands. Then from his spiritual body, we are all basically like brothers and sisters, because we were in Mahavishnu, all of us together. And before the creation, we were all there, thousands and thousands of years. And so we belong there, so to speak, and we are dormant there. Then that's like it says here, he is the very essence of all living entities. And the total material creations rest and flourish within his body. Then here Maitreya was saying how individual jivas were one with the Lord. So there is also this very, it sounds like a Mayavada philosophy, the oneness, etc. But it's not exactly Mayavada philosophy, because we don't lose our individuality. When we are there, we are carrying our karma or samskaras. At the same time, physically, we have, it's a kind of we are there inside Mahavishnu. And there is a bhajan which says, Ni mayayolago ninnolu mayayo, ni dehadolago ninnolu dehavo. So are we inside the Lord? Are we inside the Lord's body? Or is the Lord inside our bodies? Or ni dehadolago ninnolu dehavo. So how do we understand if the fragrance is inside the flower, or is the flower inside the fragrance? Or is the fragrance and the flower is inside our senses, like our mind, eyes, which sees the flower, and the nose, which smells the smell? So like that, there's the bhajan, which actually describes this complex philosophical conclusion about whether we belong inside the Lord or the Lord is inside us. That's why there were so many acharyas to explain this philosophical truth. Ramanujacharya, Madhvacharya propounded Dvaita philosophy, Ramanujacharya propounded Vishishta Dvaita. So it's not an easy thing to understand and just figure it out and analyze for ourselves. That's why we have our acharyas. And then of course came Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna himself. Jai Gaur say Krishna, say Jagannath. He's Krishna, he's Jagannath himself, and he came and he established Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva, which of all is, you can say, kind of the updated philosophical conclusion about the identity of the jiva. Okay, so that's very, very relevant for us, because we are parts and parcels of Krishna. We are one with him, but at the same time, we are also separate. So simultaneously one and different. That is our philosophy. And then we are here studying how also Garbhodakshay Vishnu expands as the one consciousness, who is the Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Again, another powerful form of the Lord. And Kshirodakshay Vishnu is who is the Paramatma in everybody's heart. And from that, that's from his internal potency. And then, of course, it speaks about how, again, going back to Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he also generates the 10 life airs, subdivisions of Ahankara. There is all the Adi Daiva, Adhyatma, and Adi Bhuta that we study basics in Srimad Bhagavad Gita also. And those elements, those 10 divisions, they come from the Lord's external energy. So there is internal and then there is external. So the soul, our soul itself, where the Lord sits in our heart, that's the internal potency. That's the jiva's eternal spiritual form, we are Jivar Swarupai Krishna Nityadas, and we are full of eternal blissful knowledge, Satchidananda. That's who we are, and that's the internal potency of the Lord. Whereas those things we carry, such as the mind and the intelligence and the our karma and all these external things, adi daivic things, the country we are in, the parents that we have, and then those living entities that we live around, all those external things that the body has to function in cooperation with, those come from the external energy of the Lord. And so these are controlled by the super soul in the heart. Okay, let's see here. Okay, yeah, then there is a whole question which also comes up in Bhagavad Gita again and again. Who is the karta? Who is the doer? So since the individual soul also has his free will, and at the same time the Paramatma is also in the heart, who is actually responsible? Who is the responsible for the bodily movement? Who is responsible for the conscious experiences? Who is responsible for the choices that we make? And then Viduras Maitreya explains about even those things are made possible by the Lord's Jnana Shakti or knowledge potency. So all the 5 factors of Bhagavad Gita again comes into picture here. The Kala, Karma, Prakriti, Ishvara, and Jiva. So all the functions coming together produces our actions. Now, obviously, this Lord's internal potency is very, very powerful, very strong. At the same time, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says how even Maya metam taramtite, even Maya is very powerful. Even the external energy of the Lord, Buddhi, Ahankara, all the elements such as false ego and material modes, all these things, even though it's not internal potency of the Lord, they're very difficult to overcome. Krishna himself says in the Gita, that is his powers. External potency is also Krishna's powers, and it's very difficult to overcome. But we can overcome by devotional service. We can overcome by bhakti. We can overcome by the knowledge potency of the Lord, the Jnana Shakti of the Lord. So when we pray to the Lord and we ask the Lord to engage us in his devotional service, he gives us the strength to overcome our weaknesses, overcome our being controlled by the 3 modes. So this understanding is important for us because constantly we are battling. There's a battle within us, in our body. There are battle between the sense objects, like we are battling to control our temptation towards sense objects. We are controlling our mind to be able to perform proper sadhana. There is a constant battle between this external energy and internal energy of the Lord, which control us in different aspects. So the Lord's love, the Lord's compassion towards us gives us the strength to choose. Okay, and there is free will. He gives us free will to choose. Choose, what do we want? What path do I want to take? Do I want to perform spiritual activities? Do I want to progress towards Krishna consciousness? What is our desire? Yaya thamam prapadyante tam stataiva bhajamyaham. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita also clearly states that although all these material elements are controlled by him, although we are the internal, we do have Paramatma sitting in our heart, at the same time we are jivas. Jivas means we are controlled completely by material modes. But Krishna is not controlled by material modes. We are all like the Jiva Shakti of the Lord. So we are given this free will to choose. Why do we have that? The cause of all problems for us is this free will. And this free will makes us crazy. And this free will makes us do stupid things.
Suffer in the world, in the material world.
Why Krishna gives us free will? Well, just as we might want somebody in our life to love us, we're not going to use them as puppets. No, what's the point? What's the fun in if we could control our partners to love us the way we want, what's the fun, right? We give them free will, and then out of their own free will, when they bring us flowers, or when they make us something, whatever, they are nice to us, they're using nice words, and it's coming from the place of free will, it's much more fulfilling. But when it comes as the result of us controlling, oh boy, that's a different, it's not a very pleasant experience. So similarly, the Lord is a person. He's the blue boy, who's the lovesick blue boy who loves to be loved by us because he knows that's good for us. He knows that everything else is just illusion. Everything else is just the allurements of the external potency of the Lord. And in this context, Duryodhana, right? Duryodhana and Arjuna both wanted Krishna's help during the battle. And Krishna decided to not take part in either of their camps to fight. So then he decided, I'm not going to fight. I'm not going to pick a weapon. Oh, what use is Krishna without a weapon, thought Duryodhana. And Krishna said, I'll either give you my army, the 11 Akshohini, or I'm going to, is it 11? How many Akshohinis does Krishna actually give Duryodhana? I mean, they had 11, but I don't know if that included other kings as well. So Krishna says, I have my, I think it was 9, if I remember. I can't remember now anymore. So Krishna tells, I can either give you my army, which represents the external potency of the Lord, the powers of the Lord, or I can give myself, but without picking a weapon. I can just be a chariot driver. I mean, he doesn't offer to be chariot driver. He just says, I'll just be there as an advisor, and I'm not going to pick a weapon. And Duryodhana was like, oh, completely useless Krishna that is, I don't want that. What's the point? So, he said, oh, I want the external energy of the Lord. I want the army, Wow, such a big army. That's going to make me win. So he chose the army, and Arjuna couldn't care less. He knew, first of all, on a deep intelligent level, he knew Krishna without army, with army without Krishna is nothing. Not Krishna without army is nothing, because army comes from Krishna. He had that basic understanding, even though he was just a friend, etc. And he chose Krishna over the army. And Arjuna was very ecstatic. Duryodhana was very ecstatic that Arjuna was being stupid by choosing Krishna. So sometimes we think, oh, if only my life I can have all these good qualities, right? I could be intelligent, I could know all the Shastra, and I could be very pure, and I could become like this amazing saint. Then, by the way, even those things are external potency of the Lord. Okay, these are all like vibhutis. These are all like qualities: beauty, strength, renunciation, wealth. All these things are also external potency of the Lord. So sometimes we think that I have to be sane, and I have to be strong, and I have to be powerful, and I have to be intelligent, and I have to be beautiful. Then I can be a good devotee. But that's very much Kriya Shakti, also Dravya Shakti level of understanding. Kriya Shakti is action-based. Oh, if I do this, if I build a temple, then Krishna will love me. I can become a devotee. I'll be a good devotee if I do this. And Dravya Shakti, like I said, if I have these things, then I can be a devotee. But Jnana Shakti is the ability to know that, my attitude, my surrender is what actually is going to attract Krishna, not my what are these qualities for Krishna? It's nothing, just a speck of dust for Krishna. So this is a discussion going on between Maitreya and Vidura. And how the lords were, all the gods and all the demigods were requesting Krishna to help. Okay, let's see what happens next. Any other comments, Rasastali Mataji or Taruni Mataji? I said Mataji, Taruni, Radha Mataji.
Oh, please, Kaltani Radha. Very nice, actually. And there's like, I missed a couple of classes, just kind of understanding what's going on right now in the story between Vidura and
So basically, Vidura is meeting Maitreya, and there's a whole discussion. And Vidura is a little bit confused, as anybody would be, with all this cosmic manifestation, how it actually occurs and why it happened. And he asks all these questions, and all these things are coming out, all the name of these devas and who controls what senses, and all these things are coming up here, you see.
It's so I'm just like wonderstruck, like how Krishna, whatever is happening in this Bhagavatam class and something which I heard in the day, some of this correlation today, what I was hearing, right? There was in that they were saying in the beginning of this the first few cantos, it's talking about creation and all that, right? And then for us, devotees, like would be potential devotees, it's just like we feel like, oh my God, this is so hard to like grasp the Karadaksha Vishnu, the Garbhadaksha Vishnu, and then the Shirodaksha Vishnu. How does all this take place? And it's like very complicated. And then we go to Krishna stealing butter and all those pastimes. Oh, it feels so nice. It just feels like, oh, we can understand it and all that. So the speaker was saying, actually the reason why Sukadev Goswami explains the creation is because it's very straightforward. Over there, there is not much rasa involved. But then in the later pastimes, though Krishna stealing butter looks like very, like very ordinary, and then we are like he's like coming his beautiful shots in the 200 form, performing it all looks like as though we understand. But actually, there's so much of deep rasa involved in it. That's why our acharyas, like like our Jiva Goswami, the same 10th canto, some of the sections, right? He's written multiple commentaries just on Krishna stealing the butter, like Sas and Darbas and etc. etc. So why was he able to? I mean, why did he write all that? Because there is so much of rasa involved, and then we feel we understand, but actually, the reality we don't. What's happening in Krishna's mind, what's happening in the devotee's mind. So all these our acharyas, our Goswamis understand. That's why they give multiple commentaries. So that's more difficult, and this is supposed to be so easy because there is no rasa involved. I was like, wow, that's so beautiful, right? Never thought in that from that angle. So when you're saying that, I suddenly remembered.
Yeah, I mean, as we're
I
reading
would
this,
like to say, we
yes,
really missed this. Mataji was not there. I really missed this. What her realizations.
yes,
Yeah.
that's true. We missed you,
So
Tarun.
many days, we really missed her. Especially I.
I was like there in spirit, seriously, I promise you. I had to miss because of some services in the temple, and then two of those the kirtan thing which was happening because the two boys are graduating, and then Sunday usually have service. That's the reason. And yesterday, for the next I think 5 weeks, Tuesdays I'll have service again at the temple, Radha Sham Sundar. So yeah, but I was just thinking so much, and I'm just gonna at least dial in and listen. I was dying yesterday, but then I was like so tense. Oh my God, everything has to go on properly, I was like, Krishna, please help me like that. Then I thought, okay, let me just focus on this. Maybe next Tuesday I can log in at least your words. I start like I'm getting any realizations. Honestly, it's like Radhagavan Mataji, like when you are like saying, when you're explaining so beautifully, right? Something somewhere that I would have heard, it just kind of triggers, and then that's how I kind of like whatever I speak. I just share because I feel it's so nice. It's so relevant.
We really value, as Rasastali Mataji said, I just want to also say the same thing, that it's really, your presence makes it, even more interesting and rich, and you bring all this, like what you just shared now. It was so relevant, and it's very nourishing, and also I get inspired to share more like that. So I mean, without each other we cannot we cannot actually relish Srimad Bhagavatam. So I want to thank both of you for being there. And this section also, right, what we're studying now, it's very, I don't know how to say, like I find it what exactly you said, Taruni. One thing is the rasa level of understand, thinking that we understand Krishna and all that, but on another level, to understand how much free will do I actually have, and how much actually is internal and external energies influencing me, and actually Krishna giving me the free will. What does it exactly mean? All these things kind of, it's like it's put in front of our face with this. We cannot run away from it. We cannot escape from the fact that we are choosing every single second, every single day. We're choosing we're putting seeds of certain samskaras, certain desires. And if we put the seeds of wanting to understand Krishna, wanting to know Krishna, wanting to be in the association of devotees, it's so like obvious. Like Narad Muni in Srimad Bhagavatam, we'll read that later. He actually says how our future, and like by looking at the mind of an individual, he says we can know their past and future. And that's very powerful quote for me, because as an astrologer, I get that point. Like by understanding the mind, you can understand what made that person create their past, like present, but their past, what was their past in order for them to create this present circumstance. And with the mind that they have, what are they going to create for the future? And what we're reading right now, what Maitreya is explaining, this is super relevant in understanding what was our past. We can look at our mind and see, oh my God, all these unearths and all these patterns. So my past should have been like that. And then with the understanding of our mind, we can actually see what we're going to create in the future. Like if we're being attracted to Bhagavatam, are we attracted to the Sangha of devotees? Are we attracted to introspection? Are we attracted to the politics even within the organization? We can actually figure out where our mind is flowing. We can actually predict the future, because the future is not written on stone. It's written with our present seeds that we're putting in the present, to wanting to, what we want to do, what we want to know, what we want to have. All these things are so important. And understanding that Garbhodaksha Vishnu expands, and then all this elements of is the external potent, the Virat Rupa, the source is Garbhodaksha Vishnu. All these things kind of, it's a good meditation to get off the trivial things that we're stuck with in this world, and understand, wow, the universe is so much more intricate, and there's all this amazing functions going on the universal level, on the cosmic level, on the macrocosm level. The macrocosm level, what we're discussing, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu, and all this is on the macrocosm. But then on the microcosm is, how much free will do I have? How am I using my mind? What is my understanding of my life purpose? How much control do I have over the living entities around me? How much control do I have over my own mind? How much, all these questions is the microcosm. And this studying these sections of Srimad Bhagavatam gives us the wisdom. I'm talking about wisdom, not just knowledge. When we are discussing this with sincerity, like what Taruni was sharing, wow, they're like, okay, Shukadeva Goswami is explaining this because of this. Then everything kind of like, comes together in harmony. And then, and when we actually put those two things together and see, this is for my understanding, because this is straightforward knowledge. I need to understand who I am. I need to understand what kind of cosmic creation I belong in. And I need to understand how these things function. Not just live in ignorance is bliss, oh yeah, I have this karma, it will be what will be. No, oh my God. This ni maye olago ninnolu mayeyo ni dehadolago ninnolu dehavo, that song I was quoting earlier. That's also another thing. Is the cosmos, are we within this cosmos, or is the cosmos within us? Or is it that we and the cosmos are both within the Lord? So there's this whole understanding of where we are, who we are, what's our powers. There is so much power, because the truth is the cosmos is within us. Why? Because the Paramatma is within us. He's seated in our heart. So all this understanding is just mind-blowing. Honestly, is mind-blowing. Like here, okay? Look at this section here. Look at this, read this, okay? The fire god, Agni, entered it, along with the subtle sense organ, the mouth. Thus living beings are able to speak. Okay, so there's Agni inside you, okay? Maitreya explained that the tongue, nostrils, eyes, skin, genitals, anus, and feet were all manifested by the Virat Rupa and respectively occupied by Varuna, Ashwini Kumara, Surya, Vayu, the Dikpalas or gods of the directions, Daksha, Mitra, Indra. Hey, spirit soul, all these demigods are within your body. They're all inside there. They're responsible for your ability to speak, ability to smell, ability to think, ability to do everything you're doing. Okay, so the whole macrocosm is within the microcosm. Everything is within us, and we are within the Lord. So this Achintya Beda Abeda Tattva is very important, very, very important. Without that, if you're playing a game or you're in a place and you don't know your rights and your powers, right? Like you don't know what you can do. You cannot, if you imagine you're sitting there and you don't know that you can see and you're with your closed eyes. Okay, imagine the limitation of that. Imagine you don't know that you can lift your arm and you can go and pick something with your hand and cook and clean or wash or write or read, or if you don't know the strength or the powers that you have with your hand. So on and so forth. With senses, it's easy. Okay, the eyes and the hands and the legs, these are the functions. Wow, what we're studying here are the subtle sense organs. These are the mind and the intelligence, and how much power our consciousness has, how much power the subconsciousness has. When we are inside the Mahavishnu's body for thousands and thousands of years, all our desires are just unfulfilled desires are just waiting to be manifested. And then we come out and then all these things come up. We're like, where did I get all these desires from? Where is this coming? All these anarthas, all these samskaras, where is this coming from? So we wonder. And this explanation helps us. So, yeah, I mean, like Vilas Manjari often says, like, there is artha nivritti, and then there's the anartha nivritti, and there's artha pravritti, right? So one is the path of developing higher taste. Another is the path of giving up the old taste, clearing up. So this cosmic manifestation and all this, how the sense organs work and how the subtle sense organs work and where we belong in this world and how Krishna's functions are, all these things bring us that awareness, how anartha nivritti is also an important part, because without keeping the pot clean, we can't cook clean food. So in order to get higher taste, we need to also work on where did this lower taste come from, and understand that that's not me. Actually, this body is not actually me, but at the same time, this body is so precious because all these demigods are present. Wow, it's actually very mind-blowing. It's like when you look at yourself and see how strong you are, how powerful you are, how the whole universe is within you. That song is very nice. Bayalu alayadolago, alaya bayalolago. My grandmother sang that song when she came on the other day in the seminar. So it's so many intricacies there. Is the fragrance inside the flowers, the flower inside the fragrance, the temple inside the forest, or the forest inside the temple? And is the forest and temple both in the, what's that? Bayalu alaya eradu ninnolago. Is both inside the Lord? And is all this taste and fragrance we're looking around, is it outside, or is it inside our mind? Is it inside our brain? Wow, it's like there is a scientific explanation for these things. Any comments, references?
Yeah, it's so true. It's as you said, Achintya Vedas. That it's true. Krishna is inside us, and actually we are inside Krishna too. Like when he opens the mouth and he shows all the entire the cosmos in his mouth to Mother Yashoda, right? Means what? We're all there inside Krishna, and then as Paramatma, he's there inside us. So they both are true. And regarding that free will, right? My Guru Maharaj always says, yeah, every minute we have a free will choice to make. Every minute until our last breath. So we might be choosing Krishna, but at the last moment, if we choose something else, then it's gone. And then last minute, if by Krishna's mercy, Guru Varga's mercy, we choose Krishna, that's success. But then, that's just like the PhD, like the nectar of devotion. So it's like a PhD, honestly, PhD, which is just given to very few, very few lucky in the individuals. For the rest of us, we really need to work hard to pass the exams, all of that. I was thinking, how much free will does make a choice? We have the free will. We need to make those choices every minute. Every minute we have. It's not like we surrendered very nicely. We were very sincere in the past, and right now we're just like riding on those waves. It's not like that. It's like a ongoing process. So it's got like what Taranga Rangini, like riding on those small waves of success that one encounters in spiritual life, just because of some whatever doing proper things, proper activities in the past. And that's also a kind of an earth, like that's also it's another phase, I guess. It's just another phase again. And again, you keep moving ahead beyond it, then of course you come to much more steady and steady bhakti, which is beyond all this kind of enjoying the laurels that one gets like that. So that was coming to my mind.
Yeah, beautiful points. Also, these planetary systems, all this. As an astrologer, I can actually see how the influence of these planets creates natures, creates samskaras, creates our ability to make right decisions or wrong decisions, or how these planets represents, like if somebody has done good spiritual activities in previous life, it represents in the form of them having a good Jupiter in this life. If somebody hasn't done enough religious activities, spiritual activities, charity work, etc., they have a weak Jupiter this life, and they're always struggling. They have they say no luck. Whatever they're doing in their life, there's not luck in their life. For a woman, there is no they don't get good husband or something. And when you look in the chart, we can see, oh, that's because in previous life they didn't do good works, they didn't do religious things, they didn't put faith into something higher, and they were too selfish. And then like that, similarly, we can see if somebody misused their energies, misused their powers, and they were rude, and like all these demigods are there, right? All these planetary influences are in us, and if we don't use it properly, the free will, then next lifetime those same planets that you misused will become weak in the chart, and then the person, like for example, if somebody misuses authority, then in this I saw, like yesterday, somebody's chart, they were misusing authority in their previous life. So in this life, they have really like sun that really sucks. It's really trashed sun, which means like there's no sense of security. There's so much insecurity. There's so much that fear of not being the center. So they're always compensating, being rude and being harsh, and because they're feeling that I'm not in control, but they cannot be in control because their lesson is to learn that you shouldn't misuse power. Like that, if somebody misuses the mind, and then they have a weak mind in this life. If somebody misuses their resources, they have a weak Venus in this life, and so on and so forth. So it's a school, like Tarani was saying, oh my God, that's so scary, right? Like free will is there, and that's so scary. because of that free will, they say, Krishna, please, even if I don't remember you, please, you remember me, make me remember you at the time of death. Because our mind is so unreliable, so chanchala. Like Arjuna says, it's like easy to control the wind than to control the mind, Krishna. Because the mind is like, you never know, like a monkey, right? Jumping here, jumping there. So many triggers, and we get triggered by it. So Krishna, what's that? There's a bhajan that says, Indu ninna moreya hokke Srinivasane, endigadar omme kayo Venkateshane. So like, today I'm calling your name, Krishna, but the day when I need, please remember me, please make me remember you. Like that. So the free will is there, and at the same time, Krishna is still in charge, and that's a devotee. That's what a devotee knows. Like for a karmi, they're all there sense of confidence and affirmations. It's coming from false ego. But for us, even our ability to use our free will is coming from the dependence on the Lord. Krishna, by your mercy, let me do this. By your mercy, if you want me, then I'll get up and do Bhagavatam. Like yesterday, I was feeling sick and I could not do. So like that. So sometimes Krishna's will also. So to know that there is Krishna's will and using the free will to give that control to Krishna and say, my dear Lord, you are in charge. That is a devotee versus somebody who is self-will. Yeah. I guess we will end here for today. Oh, I was thinking we should finish the chapter. Let's see. No, there's a lot here. Okay, we stopped here yesterday. But yesterday we actually, the section was so tough, so we thought we'll give it more time. So today basically just discussed it. We didn't read. We will read from here tomorrow. Any other comments or closing thoughts about this section? Usually, when I did Bhakti Vaibhav also, this section was tough. Okay, so we can end here. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.